This is obviously not a scene that ever happened. That's a completely symbolic rendition.
We start to squabble about what the buildings look like or what kind of clothes they were wearing or what kind of weapons they used, when I think that kind of misses the mark.
If we assume that everything is meant as just the most literal possible account of just things that happened, we teach ourselves not to read it symbolically. Hi, this is Dave Butler. Welcome back to the Stick of Joseph. Here today with my good friend Brad Whitbeck, the handsomest man in Mormon YouTubery, and a very special guest today, Caleb Williams, whom you may know AKA'd as the Library of Godwin. Yep. Caleb is an artist. We've got him all the way from the wilds of Gloucestershire on the woolly Welsh border. Does Ova's Dyke actually run up through Gloucestershire, or?
I think, yeah, on the border.
On the border with Wales.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not the animal. Just so anyone watching who's unfamiliar, Wales the country.
Yeah, yes. Wales the country. Yeah. Not the seagoing mammal.
I'm sure many were confused by that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Caleb, I'm excited to have you here today. I've been following you on, I guess, X principally for several months. I first came across your work because somebody tagged me. You posted an image. I think one of the images that's in here, and somebody tagged me and, to get my attention. And I said, wow, that's actually quite cool.
Oh, neat.
Yeah. And promptly, as soon as it was available, or as soon as I realized it was available, which might not be the same thing, went out and got a copy of your edition of the Book of Mormon.
Sweet. Yeah.
And so I'd love to talk to you about this, about your art generally, about the nature of the Book of Mormon. But maybe tell us a little bit about yourself. You live in Gloucestershire.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
What is that all about? You don't sound like a Gloucestershireman.
No, I'm not an Englishman, but my wife is an English woman. So yeah, I went to BYU. I moved around a lot as a kid. My dad worked for the military, but yeah, went to BYU, had the classic love story at BYU. But my wife was from England. So
awesome.
Pretty much after I graduated, the next week we shipped out and went to England, and now we live near her family, and it's great. It's a good adventure.
Yeah. So is that 2 years you've been out there?
Yeah, about 2 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, fantastic. Well, welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be back. Yeah.
When I lived in the UK, I'd come back and I'd just go binge buy stuff at Walmart. I'd be like, everything is so cheap, and they have all the things. Fantastic. Well, tell us about your art background. The illustrations in here. I don't know if we're gonna maybe get a copy of some of them to sort of just put in the video to show people, because I don't know if you really can zoom in and see this very well at all. Mm-hmm. They've got a sort of a woodcut look. I assume they're not actually woodcuts. I assume that's a digitally produced kind of.
Yes.
Or pen and ink maybe.
Yeah, most of it, well, in the book, it's all digital, but it's done to, call to the woodblock style, the woodblock engravings, and the later metal engravings that were in old books. And so, but I do it digitally because it takes way too long carving and doing it by hand.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard once you've started a digital medium. Like, my wife is an artist, and she used to do more painting and things like that, but now that she's using Procreate on the iPad, it's like, you can just tap with 2 fingers and undo whatever you just did.
Yeah.
And then you can put out a ton more awesome art like you have in here.
Yeah, so I tried it last year. I did one a week for Come Follow Me, and that's quite a heavy pace. So use technology to that advantage. But
nice.
But yeah, I'm very heavily influenced by the old books, old illustrated Bibles, and the early printing press books that had those beautiful woodblock prints in them.
So that's awesome. Interesting, because I would have said Albrecht Dürer.
Yes, he was a big one.
And William Blake are who your work reminds me of.
Yeah, those are 2 of my top influences. Gustave Doré also. He did the illustrated Bible. But definitely the European tradition.
The Ravenna mosaics.
Yes.
That's what this looks like.
Yes, yeah. And I did get to go.
I forget the name of that piece, but it's like the Melchizedek something, or it's a picture of Melchizedek.
Yes, there's the Melchizedek altar, and he's offering sacrifice.
And there's the hand of God coming through a veil.
Yeah.
This is
awesome. With the brother of Jared there.
There
Yeah.
you go. I was gonna invite the audience to guess based on where in
sorry.
the Book of Mormon we
Oh,
were.
yeah.
But brother of Jared. That's very cool. Tell us about your art background and how you ended up working with those influences. It's a little countercultural, to be honest.
Sure. Yeah. Well, like I said, I grew up all over the place growing up. And when I was about 7 or 8, we moved to Italy. So as a kid, I was surrounded by the Catholic art, which is very different from kind of the Protestant art you might see in the U.S.
Yeah.
These grand cathedrals, these amazing displays, very mystic, very grand, lots of gilding. So from a young age, I think that exposure made me very comfortable in that world of esoteric art or mystical art. And I just fell in love with the history, the place where art meets history and how those stories connect. And then I didn't do much art kind of growing up. I did, I doodled in my math book, Batman villains. That's about it through high school. But
Nice.
then, yeah.
In lithographic style.
Yeah. But then on my mission, on boring or lonely P days, I would just start drawing. I found some of that Gustave Doré and Albrecht Dürer and stuff like that. And so I started just copying and studying, and then came back from my mission, did a little bit at BYU, but not much. I took an illustration class, but
Hold on. So you were in your mission in Japan, right?
yes, yeah.
So in Japan, you encountered Albrecht Dürer.
Well, through Facebook, I would find.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. But yeah, so through that, and or also there's some on Gospel Library, there's some church manuals that have some of that kind of art in it.
In fact, hold on. Let's do the math here. You are 25.
I'm 25, yes.
So you were born in the year 2000.
99.
99.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
So does that mean that so where's your mission in relation to the COVID lockdowns? Did that start happening right at the end, or was that after you? Did you just miss
About
that?
6 months after I got
Okay.
home is when it got locked down.
Okay. So you were out going door to door and standing in the parks and doing the
Yep.
old-timey missionary stuff.
Yep. The old timey stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. 17 to 19.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'm just realizing as I'm looking through this, did you use the breakdown of the original copy of the Book of Mormon?
Yeah. So I think the text I got from the Internet Archive was a reprint of the 3rd edition.
Nice.
Sometime in the 1870s, I believe.
That one is such a fascinating one because of the way that the chapters are structured.
It makes it totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah, it makes the story come to you in a more fascinating way. I think that everyone should read a copy of the Book of Mormon like this at least once.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
when you start realizing that like Nephi's conversation with Laman and Lemuel doesn't end at chapter 3, and then something new at chapter 4, but it flows all at once.
Sure.
It's really cool. how that
100%. The way Ammonihah is structured as a single unit, not broken up. But another one is Nephi's, the Apocalypse of Nephi, the vision, 1 Nephi 11 through 14, right? It's one chapter. And when you read it as one chapter, you realize that it has a structure because there's a structural marker, which is the guide saying, look, I looked and I beheld. And that recurs 12 times. Right?
Yeah.
That is the structure of the vision, not broken into quarters, which throws you off if you're just following the chapters and reading one chapter a day and then stopping. Yeah, so big fan.
Yeah, it was a totally new experience for me as I was putting it together. You do see the characters connect in a different way,
Yeah.
the stories, the doctrines. So
Yeah.
even just for that, it was a cool experience.
I find it super interesting to hear that sort of the iconography of saints is, and I risk over-interpreting what you said, but I hear you talking about seeing art in churches and stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's really interesting to me that that's part of your vocabulary too. I mean, I just noticed I'm flipping through, for example, you've got, some of this art is very motivic. You have repeated symbols, right? So one, for example, this is John, and John's eyes are flaming.
Yeah.
And the other characters whose eyes you see flaming are the 3 Nephites.
Yeah.
Right? So that's super interesting. I haven't actually systematically looked at every picture. I don't know if anyone else's eyes are flaming, but
I think potentially Lehi in the very first
Lehi?
one when he's having his vision.
interesting.
Yeah.
Because if it was just those 4, that would suggest maybe an interesting story, a connection with the story of the immortality of John the Beloved and the three Nephites.
Well, you'll
right?
see John the Beloved and the three Nephites do have this halo of light around them as well, and I think those are the only four in there, and that's
that
because
have that halo.
Yeah, to show that immortality.
They're translated. Yeah.
And you're right. Lehi's eyes are flaming here in First Nephi 1.
That one was interesting because I just had never seen any artistic depiction of Lehi's vision, and when I was reading it, I realized this is quite actually a big moment, an important moment to start off the Book of Mormon.
Yeah.
But I always just kind of breeze through it as I'm reading, and so that was a lot of fun to try to tackle that one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool.
That's awesome. Did you have any guiding principle for what you chose to illustrate out of the Book of Mormon, or did you just kind of pick whatever cool moment stands out to me next? That's what I'm doing.
There were a few before I started that I said, I definitely want to do this because I haven't seen it before.
Nice.
The rest of them, I would just look at what the Come Follow Me section was for that week. I would read through. Sometimes it stood out really quickly to me. This is what you should do. Other times I toyed around with some different ideas. And there are some sections where I did a couple of illustrations for that section just because I felt like there was so much to do. But
nice.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of show things that haven't been shown, or maybe show things in a new way than they've usually been shown.
I'm glad you made the great and spacious building Greek.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's fantastic. I like that you say different from the way they've been shown. A sort of striking, very high level characterization or I don't know, perception of mind maybe, is that we have historically represented the Book of Mormon, I mean, for kids as a cartoon, but for adults always as sort of this hyper-realistic, right? As if every scene in the Book of Mormon was a scene that at a particular moment in time, if you were standing there, you could have captured it on camera.
Yeah, yep.
And you would have seen Nephi's biceps, right?
Yep. And the armband.
And the armband.
Yeah.
Right. And that's interesting because I think our art has tended to imply something about the Book of Mormon that I think is not warranted.
Sure.
Okay, which is I think the art has tended to imply that every story recounted in the Book of Mormon happened in physical space. That let me come at it from a different direction.
The entire thing was made up.
Nope. Nope, that's not it.
That's what you're going for.
Because here's we produce that impression, I think, also a different way, which is we teach each other to get up in front of the congregation and say, I know the Book of Mormon is true, and we don't parse that out. We don't explain what we mean.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, and the truth is that can mean several different things, and some of them I believe, and some of them I don't. Okay, do I believe the Book of Mormon is ancient? Yes. Do I believe that Joseph produced it the way he said he did? Yes. Do I believe that God is the one who powered Joseph to produce it? Yes, I do. Do I believe there was a people who lived somewhere here in the Western Hemisphere, probably, and that this roughly contains their history? I believe that too, right?
Yeah.
But I also think these are poets.
Yep.
And I think that if we discount that and we assume that everything is meant as just the most literal possible account of just things that happened, then I think we teach ourselves not to read it symbolically, right? And I think the traditional way we have illustrated the Book of Mormon really sort of supports that reading subliminally, right?
Yeah.
This is stuff that happened. It's just CCTV footage that's been transcribed.
Yeah.
And in part, I think that's a consequence of it being the easiest way to do it, right?
Sure.
Like I've heard people have the complaint about like, oh, well, when Joseph is depicted translating the gold plates, you see the gold plates on the table. And I'm like, yeah, because if you didn't, you wouldn't know he's translating the gold plates, right?
Yeah.
It's not like we have zero records that he ever had those gold plates on the table. Right. We do have records that at times he was using a stone and a hat, right?
Sure.
But if you make that the focus, then suddenly we're not as focused on the plates. And I think this is just a consequence of simplicity rather than like...
I don't think it's intent.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think it's intent. I think the Book of Mormon's got exciting adventure stories. And so you have a picture of Nephi and the family on the ship in the storm. And you have, a picture of Moroni's, the Arnold Freeberg ones I grew up with, right? Raising the title of liberty, right? as art, I support it. If we assume, I think we can't let that infect how we read the book. Right, the book is not the pictures, and so I love that Caleb, you have produced here a very different kind of illustration. Right, something that is more like the stained glass windows in a Book of Mormon church. And sometimes it's a straightforward picture, right? Is the murdered judge at his judgment seat, right? I think there's a picture of Nephi reading the words of Isaiah off of the plates.
Yeah.
Right. But then sometimes you get much more symbolic images, right? Here, Nephi and Lehi surrounded by fire, and look, there's a pair of hands.
Yeah.
Presenting them out of the wall of fire. So I'm interested in your sort of symbolic approach and your vocabulary. How did you? Here's this look at this fantastic one. This is not even. This is like the whatever the opposite of a frontispiece is. A bacchuspiece.
Yeah.
The endispiece.
The finale.
Yeah. So it's an hourglass, and you see presumably Moroni consigning the plates into the ground, and he's at one half of the hourglass.
Yeah.
And then at the other half of the hourglass, Joseph is drawing them out of the same receptacle, right?
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
And like this is obviously not a scene that ever happened.
Mm-hmm.
That's a completely symbolic or symbolic rendition. So I'm super interested in hearing kind of where your symbolic vocabulary comes from, or what you're trying to do. I mean, I don't want you to like feel like you're being asked to make your art prosaic, right? But like,
no, I
what
do.
made you choose these?
So I think the world we live in is a post-Enlightenment secular world in which the best way to communicate truth is, like you say, to snapshot data, to take a picture of it, to present it in those hard terms. Yeah. When for most of history, that's not how people communicated or understood truth. And so because I'm a student of these ancient artists and theologians and the way that they communicated truth differently, I really admire it. So William Blake is one of my big inspirations. He's a British visionary artist and poet. His writings are amazing, but I really love his art, and it draws a heavy influence on me. Yeah, that one's one of my favorites, actually.
I love it. And this is a motif you've had repeated, the hand coming out of the what do you call it? A gammadion, right?
Yeah.
A gamma-shaped marking.
Yeah. So yeah, the hand reaching through a veil to people.
Yeah. These really look like Blake figures in their sort of proportion.
Yeah. So I do study, some of them are very intentionally proportioned like Blake's figures. They're very dramatic. They've got these large hands and feet and things like this. But Blake was very much opposed in his works to the coming Industrial Revolution, to these post-Enlightenment secular ideas of empiricism and things like that. He saw the world through this kind of visionary lens.
And he had visions.
Yes, and he did. He was a self-declared visionary.
Yeah.
And in his art, you can... I think at least that I see truth in his art that is not the kind of truth you can communicate through photographs or through empiric means.
Yeah, it's almost as if our current understanding of the world is so caught up in the like physical and what you can see with your eyes, that they just ignore that spiritual aspect. I've heard it expressed in a way that I like, where in order to understand truth, it's almost like perceiving depth, right? Where if you close one eye, you can't perceive depth the same way as if you have both eyes open. And it's like our spiritual eyes have been closed for a very long time because of the way that we navigate the world now. So I like that this calls back to that more spiritual, less literal sort of thing. I think it's good.
And I think that when you read the Book of Mormon, that might be the better way to read it, instead of as an empiric history of a people, which those are important parts of it. But like you say, we start to squabble about what the buildings looked like or what kind of clothes they were wearing or what kind of weapons they used, when I think that kind of misses the mark of what we're trying to figure out.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I've seen President Nelson relatively recently saying that the book is not a history book, right? And then I have seen anti-Mormons pounce on that and be like, they're prepping you to tell you that it's not really a historical text. Like, no, that's not what he's saying. He is saying, you shouldn't be reading this as a history book, trying to like uncover, man, if I can just find Zarahemla, that'll prove God exists. No, that's not the point. The point is, these people interacted with God. Nephi tells us this. He tells us that it's a story of redemption and coming closer to our Savior. And in the end, in Moroni, it tells us how it's this record that shows us the mercies of God. And it can help us understand how we can interact with our Father in heaven. And that if we can have the gratitude of recognizing what great things God has done for us, we can then build that relationship with God on our own, right?
Yeah.
And so I like that. I like where you guys are going with the conversation on like, hey, let's break free of a little bit of the literalness of our current day and age.
Well, and there's no reason to think that as authors, they wouldn't have done it in an ancient way. Whereas maybe the journey of Lehi's family didn't happen with the exact details, but they adjust the details to give you a symbolic journey, the spiritual journey that maps onto their physical journey. And so I think if you understand, like you say, Dave, these authors as poets and as visionary men, you might see that they're trying to do things that you would miss if you just took everything they said literally.
Yeah, which doesn't mean it's not true.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean that there weren't. I mean, so another example. By the way, I was just showing this. You kind of got to sneak in an illustration of the Bible because Nephi quotes so much of Isaiah. So we got the famous Isaiah 6 calling scene here, and the angel has not fiery eyes, but eyes of pure light. It looks like. And I love that there's you're sort of this line that you're implicitly drawing as it goes sort of you, Blake, Joseph. I guess you, Joseph Smith, Blake, kind of Lehi, right?
Yeah.
In the vocabulary you're choosing, the names. Here's a suspicion I've all had for a long time. I think I may have voiced it on this channel before. The names of Bible characters are often so perfect, and maybe Book of Mormon characters too, that you kind of wonder, well, maybe that wasn't historically the person's name.
Sure, yeah.
Right? Like Jesus is named Salvation. Did his parents actually name him Salvation? Maybe they did. Or maybe if you met him, his name would be like, Menachem or something, right? And like
Emmanuel, maybe. Oh, dang it.
Wait. But in the account, right?
Yeah.
The prophets are trying to tell you something about him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And they expected this child who would be Salvation. And so then they gave him the name, right? And maybe he adopted the name as he went around preaching, right? But maybe it wasn't really his name, right?
Same with numbers throughout the scriptures.
Sure.
There's a good chance a lot of the numbers aren't literally the number of things that there were, but numbers were very symbolic to the ancient peoples.
100%. So Enoch is said to have lived 365 years, although I think in Moses, it gives a different age. I think he lived to 65, had a son, and then lived 365 years. But that 365 is really suspicious in light of what we think we know about the calendar disputes in ancient Israel, right? And
sure, yeah.
It sort of marks Enoch as a solar figure as opposed to a lunar figure, right?
Yeah.
It looks highly symbolic.
And I love the way that, you can tell even from the cover that you're aware of this, right? With the 12 stars, with the eye in the center as the 13th there. It's cool. And I think that adds a layer of depth to people as they look at the images that you've put in here. They can ponder a lot more about this and maybe even start to try to understand a little bit more about some of this ancient symbology.
Yeah. Now, the eye is one of your recurring symbols too, right? So the great sort of double-lensed vision that says, choose you this day whom you will serve in 2nd Nephi is bound with an eye in the center between the two lenses, right?
Yeah.
So, and we got an eye here at the top of this view of Christ welcoming you to the tree of life, which I don't think that's in 1st Nephi. Is that an Alma?
Well, it's kind of a collection of different motifs and symbols. But yeah, it draws from Nephi, from Alma, from a lot of these things. The cover was an interesting process.
So this is purely for the cover. That's not one of the interior illustrations.
This is just the cover.
Okay.
But yeah, approaching the cover was a bit of a daunting task. I did the cover last, and I went and I said, okay, what am I going to do for the cover of the Book of Mormon? But these repeated symbols kept popping into mind. It's really interesting because I read the Language of Adam afterwards, and as I did, I was like, all of those symbols that you found were the ones that just were impressed in my mind, in kind of my vision of what the title should be, the cover.
That's awesome.
Can I ask, did you have other options for the cover? Like what was your process of finally landing on this?
Yeah, I had some different ideas about bringing in more of the characters. In the end, I thought I settled on just having the Savior at the tree in front of the waters, inviting you forward to the fruit. But the back cover is more of a historical shot of Christ coming to the temple in Zarahemla.
Yeah.
So that was another option potentially, but I think it works better as a back cover.
Well, that's super interesting because the use suggests those two, and I think this is correct, have a connection.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And bookends it with what the book is. It's another testament of Jesus Christ, right?
Yep.
So I love that you have that focus there.
Yeah. That's fantastic. I was actually going to ask you about the eye specifically.
Sure. Yeah.
So there may be other. I noticed it in those two. There may be other images too, but like
I think those are the only two. Yeah, in the Book of Mormon.
Okay.
And actually, there are different symbols in this and that. The one that's in between the two different churches is meant to be your own eye. That your own eye can only turn one way, so that your will, your focus can only be directed either
There are saved two churches only. Oh, the quote is, "Choose ye this day whom you will serve," which is that in the Book of Mormon?
No,
that's in Joshua.
I drew that in from Joshua.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
But yeah, it's the there are saved but two churches. And so you've got the Church of the Lamb and some symbols in there, and then the Church of the Devil below.
And it's super interesting because
I'm glad it's not just like a straight up Catholic cathedral down there.
Bruce R. McConkie.
Little guy in a Pope hat. Yeah. I like the Catholic churches, but they are going to hell.
Yeah. They are the great abominable. Yeah.
No, I like obviously the sort of the two ways motif is huge for the Nephites, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I like the way, so on the one hand, that's the image we're seeing, or the idea we're seeing here. I think another thing that is true is that the Book of Mormon writers see the secret combinations as a kind of a mirror opposite.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. They're not a random enemy. They seem to be a counterpart. They too have their ancient traditions. They too have their mysteries. They too have their founding stories. They swear oaths. In fact, in Ether 8, the oath they swear is awfully close to the one that's forbidden in Matthew 5 or 1 Nephi 12, right? Mm-hmm. It looks like they are supposed to be sort of like mirror opposites, or the good and the evil twin, or something, right?
Page 437, I actually do have the Gadian robbers swearing an oath to each other. Because as I was reading for the first time, I did see that as kind of an anti-church, an anti-temple, an inversion of everything.
Oh, I like the dark, smoky figure behind them. That's really cool.
Against a field of stars, and we got a skull with a hint of maybe an upside-down cross over the skull, or is it just the indentations in the skull?
Yeah, I think it was just the indentation.
You don't have to pronounce on that. You can.
I'm just trying to remember. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. It's been a while. And then like a sacrifice of fruit as a reminder of Cain's sacrifice. There's fruit on the altar there.
Nice.
Altar super there. Interesting. And I love the way the guy has holding a knife behind his back. Right. There's this like. There's this hint, I think. And again, I'm the viewer, not the artist, right? But in a sense, you create a piece of art, whether it's a novel or a song or visual art. You sort of create it, you put it out there, and people are going to interact with it and see what they see.
Yeah.
Right. But I like the sort of implication, maybe. So maybe this is an assassin. This is Kish Kuman or somebody being commissioned to go murder a judge, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But B, man, if you swear an oath with a guy and the whole time he's holding a dagger behind his back, right? I think the other implication is like these are not really trustworthy.
No, yeah.
Right? These are not really oaths you can count on. Fundamentally, these men will kill each other.
Yes, yeah.
As soon as you know, by the principle of Master Mahan, right? They can get more gain by killing each other rather than cooperating.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Both of those meanings were intentional.
Yeah.
There.
Really fantastic. And I just love the way they're sort of, they're not exact reflections, but there's a lot of correspondence between the sort of, the two churches.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's the idea of being held in tension between these two paths.
Yeah. And I love these skeletons down here.
Yeah.
To
bring in some of the Gothic drama.
This choice is death. This choice is death. And but also they're giant. And again, I'm just the viewer, but right, the sort of, maybe even it's sort of the distant echo of the Nephilim, right? The giant children of the priests or the angels who fell and chose to forsake their posts. And also because I'm an American and love American folklore, the red-haired American giants, which I'm sure they're not meant to be those guys, but like kind of, you know, I don't know, there they are.
Yeah.
This is an American vision.
I also like the personification of death next to Satan. So sin and death are two different distinct entities personified.
Nice.
And you see that through old Christian art as well.
Uh-huh.
So in some of my art, you'll see, I did a piece about the fall of Adam and Eve, and at the bottom there is death personified and Satan on the other side.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So
I'm curious to know, which of these pictures was your favorite to work on?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question.
There's a big Plan of Salvation one. Is that even in here? That's
It's not in here. No, that was a separate project I did.
That's the one I got tagged on X.
And that one, yeah, is quite popular. It kind of depended on where I was in the book, which one was my favorite.
Yeah.
Some of them took a lot longer than others. Actually, you know what? My favorite is probably Alma 32 on faith. Let me see if I can find the right page number.
Mm-hmm. It'll be like Alma 7 or... No, Alma 12 or something. Is it 327? 327.
320. Yes, on page 327.
Oh, nice.
The journey of faith, and I brought in a lot of the temple symbolism that I was studying at the time. So this journey from planting the seed, it being nourished during times of trials, as kind of the second stage, the second space on the temple journey, having this tribulation, but nourishing it through that. And then at the end, the woman with her children enjoying the fruits of the tree.
That's subtle. I like that she's under the tree and has children.
Yeah.
And I like also the beehive.
Yeah, yeah.
This is obviously, well, I should say maybe it's not obviously. Given a certain vocabulary, this is a temple ascent scene is what is being portrayed here.
Yes, that was the intent. Yeah.
The beehive's there for the Deseret nation.
Okay.
Reclaim.
When you in our lovely Deseret, the
From
children
England,
sing something. I can't remember how the word goes.
Yeah.
No, but I really do love that her children are there when the fruit is there, because I feel like that was a relatively recent thing that I realized while reading in the scriptures. Like, part of the meaning in "by their fruits ye shall know them" is like how good it is for children, and that children are present, and that children are valued. You know, like, there's this ongoing nature to this eternal life that requires children, I think. So I love that that's included in this way here.
Yeah.
No, but what you're going for really with the beehive, the Deborah.
Well, there is a beehive also on the front cover. It's a little bit more hidden.
Interesting.
But there is one in the tree is there as well.
Oh, over here.
Yeah.
Kind of in the same position. Yeah, because the name of the third room given in Kings and Chronicles is the Debir, which may just mean the back part, but like Lehi seems to think that it means the place of speech, and certainly a lot of translators have thought that it did. But also the Debir, Deber, he spoke, Deborah, be, right? There are a lot of associations, and so the manna that tastes like honey, according to Hebrews 9, is unsurprisingly thought to be kept in this place.
Yeah.
Right. That's really neat. So what have reactions been? Have you been called any names yet? Has anybody called you names? I get called names.
I've had non-members call me, Freemason, occultist.
Because the second you have like a hand reaching through, there you go.
Especially the plan of salvation is very symbolic, and it does resemble some of the art of the Freemasons or the Christian mystics and things like that.
Yeah, because no one else in history ever used those symbols. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
well, they don't realize that those symbols were Christian first, then were taken, and then the Christians just threw up their hands, gave them up, and now everyone thinks that those have always been occult symbols. That's not the case.
Yeah.
But I've had a few people, church members, who have kind of made comments about, this kind of overshoots the mark. You might be leading people to think things that aren't true, or like. So that's I kind of expected there would be a little bit of something like that. Art does push the boundaries, especially symbolic art.
Well, good art.
Yeah,
right.
Art that is not hyper realistic, people get a little bit sensitive about, because you are adding then interpretations and things like that. But I kind of trust people to take what they will from it, and if they get the wrong idea, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, they could get the wrong idea from the Book of Mormon text.
Yeah.
I have to say, though, I'm disappointed. I get called things like idolater and grifter.
Oh, man.
Might overshoot the mark sounds very mild. People
maybe
like you.
Maybe I'm not big enough. Yeah.
You're better looking than me is probably what it is.
I haven't shaken the boat enough, I suppose.
This is fantastic. So there's this. The plan of salvation one is a vertically tall picture, right?
Yeah.
So in what form does that exist? Like, does one buy it in a wall hanging or something? Like,
yeah, you can get on my website. There's a few different ways you can buy it, but a lot of people have ordered like a tall, and then they attach wood things, dowels at the ends of them to make it kind of like a scroll type.
The person who buys it, or like the
person who buys
printer?
it, the printer just will send a kind of a 3-foot tall version of it.
Nice. What is your website?
It's libraryofgodwin.com.
Okay.
So hopefully pretty easy.
Now, I've been curious, what led to your choice of that name, Library of Godwin?
Yeah. So I think I've talked about it a couple of times, but William Godwin was a British author. He was actually Mary Shelley's dad, Mary Wollstonecraft's husband. So it's a family of authors. He was kind of the first libertarian Brit, and you don't really find those too often. But one of the books he wrote was called The Adventures of Caleb Williams. So
that's funny.
So it's my name, and his name's William Godwin. I thought Godwin was a catchy, good short name. Yeah. And my real name is kind of hidden in the story behind it.
And it feels evocative of both the type of art that you're doing and the style,
Yeah, so, it felt like I landed on a good name, so I've been happy with that.
That's cool.
Yeah, fantastic. So what other projects are you working on? People and well, let's get to the connecting with later. What else are you doing?
Yeah, so I'm doing the same thing that I did last year in terms of Come Follow Me. But this year I'm following the Doctrine and Covenants, but it's a little bit more loosely connected to the passages. I'm focusing not so much on the history of the restoration, but the doctrines and what kinds of just the interesting stories, and actually focusing on the restoration itself, what was restored. So it's been really fun because I've had a lot more of a temple focus as I'm going through it, temple imagery and temple symbolism.
Yeah.
I started getting into it a lot with this project, but as I've done more studying, I'm really getting excited about those kinds of things.
So you don't have like pictures of Samuel Smith taking a stack of Book of Mormons and going off to meet the whoever.
I'll have a few like that. I'll have a few that are historical. Yeah.
Will you have Sasquatch as Cain?
I've thought about it.
Yeah.
I was tall
as David
one.
Patton on his horse.
Yeah. Exactly.
That one's required.
Yeah.
So I've got a few historical ones or portraits. But mainly I'm focusing on the doctrines and kind of the the truths that were restored in the restoration. And then the idea is, like, I'll do a book at the end of the year, but instead of it being an illustrated Doctrine and Covenants, I'm going to collect sermons and journal entries from restoration figures related to those kinds of ideas.
Oh, very
that's cool.
So things from Wilford Woodruff and Brigham Young, Joseph Smith, just trying to go out and find these more obscure passages and things like that, and then compile it into a book with all the illustrations.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So every week I'm posting on social media, on Instagram, those illustrations, and then it'll be a book at the end.
Awesome.
Very cool. And am I right to remember? So I don't think you can major in publishing, but I think publishing is a minor you can have at BYU.
It's a major
right?
now.
Oh,
And
is
that's
it a
what I
major?
majored in, yeah.
Oh,
Editing,
okay,
editing and
fantastic.
publishing is the major.
Oh,
nice.
my neighbor Aaron Wilder for a long time was part of that faculty, and I would occasionally. I have a whole other life. I actually am a science fiction writer and
Right,
editor,
yeah.
and I would come down occasionally. Occasionally 2 or 3 times to talk to publishing students about whatever.
Yeah.
So this is. I mean, that's interesting, right? Your impulse was, I can go ahead and publish my own Book of Mormon, and you had the background, and you've probably gone through classes on layout and
Yeah, all the design stuff I learned at BYU. so-
yeah.
Nice.
Did you hire anybody, or you just like did the whole thing yourself?
No, I did the whole thing.
and
yeah.
and just
Like
made
a
it
boss.
used Amazon's tools, KDP,
Yeah.
and whatever.
Yeah, yep. So I took those skills that I learned, and I love old books. So I wanted to make a Book of Mormon that looked like an old. I wanted it to look kind of like an old illustrated book that maybe Joseph Smith would have crossed
Yeah.
in a library somewhere.
Yeah. Have you? I have some questions about this actually. So,
All right.
one, have you had any conversations with bookstores about carrying it?
I've had a few. Yeah, there's one bookstore in Salt Lake that got some copies.
Very cool.
And then a couple of online bookstores. So yeah, it's been great to see the enthusiasm and the different people who want to help spread it.
Really neat. Who is it in Salt Lake?
Ooh, I can't remember off the top of my head. I'll have to find out.
Okay,
Yeah.
Eborn Books or somebody like that.
Yeah, someone like that. We'll have to find out. And then yeah, online a few people.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Have you ever thought about? Hear me out.
All right.
This is lovely.
Yeah.
You could kickstart a deluxe edition
Yes.
and do like a $100
Yeah.
Leather
Yeah.
bound.
right with like really fancy, not like the good paper that Amazon lets you choose, but like really fancy paper.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
I would love to do
Leather-bound.
something like that because yeah, the Amazon's great for the convenience and stuff, but I would like to do a real high quality kind of.
You could engrave these cover images on.
That would be
hear
sick.
me out. Brass plates,
Oh yeah, there you go.
Oh, dude.
front and back. Right.
Yeah, that'd be sick. Yeah.
I'd buy one. That's all I'm saying.
I do have a hardcover kind of version. There's a page limit on hardcovers with Amazon. So
Oh.
the hardcover version, and I can show you it after, is it's got the illustrations and then just the relevant passage. But it's a little bit higher quality and it's quite a nice product. So I saw that as well on the website.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So where should people follow you?
Yes. So on social media, Library of Godwin on X and Facebook and Instagram.
And are those
then-
with underscores or?
Yeah,
just-
I think if you search it, it should come
it'll
up.
come up. There's
yeah.
not a lot of Library of Godwin.
No. So far, there's no copycats yet.
Nice.
And then libraryofgodwin.com is where I post all of my art. And you can also find how to buy the books, prints, digital copies. I also post a few articles on interesting things that I'm doing or find there as well. Breakdowns. Yeah, I post articles sometimes, breakdowns of the symbols and some of the bigger pieces and things like that.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Do you have people like mobbing you to be your apprentice yet?
Not an apprentice. Yeah, I get asked for commissions, and I've been able to do a few of those.
Oh, that's
but
cool.
the weekly illustrations keep me pretty busy.
Yeah.
And I have some other things. I've got a big Easter piece that's coming up, so I'm excited about that. But yeah, lots of things going on always.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, Caleb, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's
Yeah.
been very cool. And thank you, dear listeners. I didn't say like and subscribe up front. Let me say like and subscribe right now.
Yeah.
You should like this video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to make sure you get notifications. But until next time, stay curious and hungry.